Have you ever heard of a general who won over 100 battles and never once tasted defeat? A commander so brilliant that his enemies both feared and admired him? Today, we are diving into the life of a man whose military genius is legendary, a figure known throughout history as the Sword of Allah, Khalid ibn Al-Walid. This is the story of a warrior who shaped empires, a tactician who was always one step ahead, and a man who, despite a life of constant battle, met a surprisingly peaceful end. Our story begins in Mecca, in the powerful Quraysh tribe, where Khalid ibn Al-Walid was born. From a young age, he was trained in the arts of war, horsemanship, swordsmanship, and military strategy. He wasn't just good, he was exceptional. His family, the Banu Maksum, were responsible for the tribe's military matters, and Khalid was their rising star. His early life was defined by the traditional values of his tribe, and when the message of Islam began to spread through Mecca, Khalid and his family were among its stanchest opponents. This opposition put him on a collision course with the early Muslims. His most famous early encounter was at the Battle of Uhud. While the battle initially favored the Muslims, Khalid, commanding the Quraysh cavalry, saw a critical opening. The Muslim archers, believing the battle was won, had abandoned their strategic high ground. Khalid seized the moment. In a brilliant flanking maneuver, he charged his cavalry around the mountain and attacked the Muslim army from the rear. This single move turned the tide of the battle, showcasing his tactical genius for the first time on a major stage. He wasn't just fighting, he was playing chess on a battlefield, and he could see moves no one else could. But history has a way of taking unexpected turns. A few years after Uhud, something shifted within Khalid. He was a man of logic and strength, and the truth of the new faith began to resonate with him. He traveled to Medina and, in a moment that would change the course of history, converted to Islam. The man who was once one of its greatest adversaries now pledged his sword to its cause. His military mind, once a threat, was now Islam's greatest asset. He didn't have to wait long to prove his loyalty. His first major campaign as a Muslim commander was the Battle of Uhud against the powerful Byzantine Empire. The Muslim army, vastly outnumbered, found themselves in a desperate situation after their three appointed leaders fell in battle. The soldiers were on the verge of collapse when they turned to Khalid. Stepping up, Khalid completely reorganized the army. He used his tactical brilliance to create the illusion of reinforcements, swapping the vanguard with the rearguard and shifting his flanks. The next day, the Byzantines faced what looked like a fresh, new army, which broke their morale. Khalid orchestrated a masterful, orderly withdrawal, saving the Muslim army from certain annihilation. It was during this battle that he fought so fiercely he broke 9 swords in his hand, a testament to his incredible strength and ferocity. It was after this display of valor and strategy that Prophet Muhammad himself bestowed upon him the title Sayf Allah, the Sword of Allah. After the Prophet's passing, the Arabian Peninsula was thrown into turmoil during the Ridda Wars, or the Wars of Apostasy. Many tribes who had pledged allegiance renounced Islam. The new Caliph, Abu Bakr, entrusted Khalid with the monumental task of reuniting Arabia. Khalid marched from one victory to another. His most challenging campaign was against Musaylama, a false prophet who had amassed a massive army. At the Battle of Yamama, Khalid faced fierce resistance. The battle raged, and at one point, Musaylama's forces even broke into Khalid's own tent. But with unwavering resolve, Khalid rallied his men, pushed the enemy back into a walled garden, later known as the Garden of Death, and secured a decisive victory, effectively ending the major rebellions. With Arabia united, Khalid's gaze turned outward. His next target was the Sasanian Empire, one of the 2 superpowers of the age. He led his army into modern-day Iraq, a land of rivers and canals. Khalid's campaign here is a masterclass in speed and surprise. In a series of lightning-fast battles, often against numerically superior forces, he dismantled the Sasanian defenses. One of his most famous victories was the Battle of Uhud, where he executed a rare and complex double envelopment maneuver, a tactic similar to the one Hannibal used at Cannae, crushing the Persian army. Within about a year, he had conquered most of Iraq. But his work wasn't done. A new, even greater threat was emerging on the Western Front. The Byzantine Emperor Heraclius had assembled a colossal army to push the Muslims out of Syria. Khalid was ordered to leave Iraq and reinforce the Muslim armies there. What followed was one of the most audacious marches in military history. Instead of taking the conventional route, Khalid led his small army on a perilous, 5-day journey straight through the waterless Syrian desert. It was a huge gamble, but it paid off. He appeared seemingly out of nowhere, surprising both friend and foe, and took command of the united Muslim forces. This set the stage for the legendary Battle of Yarmouk. For 6 days, the massive Byzantine army clashed with Khalid's forces. Khalid's genius was on full display. He used his mobile cavalry to perfection, plugging gaps, repelling charges, and exploiting weaknesses. He reorganized the army into smaller, more flexible units, allowing him to respond to threats with incredible speed. On the final day, he orchestrated a massive cavalry charge that shattered the Byzantine flank, leading to a rout that completely annihilated one of the most powerful armies of its time. The victory at Yarmouk was decisive. It broke Byzantine power in Syria permanently and opened the door for the rapid expansion of the Caliphate. After a life filled with over 100 victories and no defeats, you might expect Khalid to have died a warrior's death, sword in hand on the battlefield. But fate had other plans. Despite his lifelong desire for martyrdom, Khalid ibn Al-Walid died peacefully in his bed in the city of Homs. On his deathbed, he is said to have lamented, "I've fought in so many battles seeking martyrdom that there is no spot on my body left without a scar or a wound. And yet, here I am, dying in my bed like an old camel. May the eyes of cowards never find rest." Khalid's legacy is not just one of an undefeated general. It's the story of a strategic mind unparalleled in his time. He was a master of psychological warfare, logistics, and maneuver. He could read a battlefield like a book and bend it to his will. From a fierce opponent of Islam to its most formidable champion, his life is a journey of transformation and unparalleled military achievement. The sword of Allah may have been sheathed for the final time in a quiet room, but its legend continues to echo through the halls of history. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the life of Khalid ibn Al-Walid. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about incredible figures from history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see us cover next. Thanks for watching.